The City of Goose Creek is booming with lots of economic development. Today, I talk one-on-one with Rob Wiggins, the city's economic development director, for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Rob Wiggins, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you for having me, Quintin. Glad to be here.
Oh, I appreciate it greatly. Needless to say, you are the City of Goose Creek's Economic Development Director and have been since January of last year. So, as we sit here right now, Rob, the state of Goose Creek's economy is.
So Goose Creek is definitely growing. We're the eighth largest city in South Carolina, and we continue to grow. We're almost at 50,000 residents. So we will definitely be there probably within the next 2 to 3 years. We have many new developments going in across the city, trying to grow our commercial base more. Goose Creek was always known as a bedroom community, but we have changed that perception in the past couple of years. Have a bunch of new businesses. We have about 20 different businesses that have opened or plan to open this year in Goose Creek city limits. So we're definitely moving forward, and the creek is definitely rising, I can tell you that.
Where exactly in the city of Goose Creek do you want to grow that commercial base?
We're open to growing commercial base anywhere in the city, but mainly along the corridors. The 17 corridor, Carnes Crossroads is an area that is just booming. We really don't have to mess too much with Carnes Crossroads. They are their own animal up there, so they are constantly growing, adding new developments. We've got about 300,000 square foot of retail space, commercial space that's going to come online in the next few years across the city. Anywhere from the Carnes Crossroad area where we have 100,000 square foot uptown development going in there. There's a new Publix development going in there, and a couple other things that are going to be popping up here soon in Carnes Crossroads. But also down on 52 coming into town from North Charleston, we have the Carolina Avenue development. That's going to be about 30,000 square feet of commercial space right on Highway 52 and Goose Creek Boulevard right there. So it's going to be very visible to many people coming through coming through town and heading towards Moncks Corner. And then down Red Bank, we're always trying to grow Red Bank. Mainly it has been redevelopment projects. As I'm sure you've talked to some of our city council members about, we're trying to redevelop Red Bank. People have realized that Goose Creek is up and coming, and the prices have started reflecting that too. So the price of real estate is definitely becoming more expensive here in Goose Creek, as the Charleston area in general is. But we're trying to grow all areas and give every resident access to their necessities in a close by area, so they don't have to jump into traffic.
Yes, sir. And so, how do you compare those particular home prices now versus, say, 2 years ago?
The prices have definitely increased. I mean, we've probably seen, I'd say, 20% increase in prices across the board in residential and commercial. It just depends on where it is also. That's why we feel in the city, housing is definitely something we're focused on. We want to give people an opportunity to live where they work or nearby where they work. So we're trying to grow that base and grow more affordable housing by putting more density on the main corridors going through Goose Creek. We don't want to build apartments in the back of a neighborhood. We want to put them on the main corridors and make it smart growth and smart density, so we can try to cut down on the amount of traffic that drives through Goose Creek. We'd rather them stop in Goose Creek than drive through.
Where exactly do you see smart density being up and coming in Goose Creek?
So definitely the Carnes area right on 17 is got a lot of density going through their St. James corridor. There's apartments already there. We're trying to take these areas that already have some density and build those areas up, because we don't, like I said earlier, don't want to put them in the back of neighborhoods or put them in areas that really can't handle that density. The 52 corridor is another good example of where more density is coming because of the fact that it can actually handle the traffic, which, a lot of roads can't handle the traffic around here. We're definitely building the infrastructure, but we feel that it's better for them to stop in Goose Creek versus going through Goose Creek, because it's going to get built. Houses are going to get built and apartments are going to get built in the Charleston region and in Berkeley County. Berkeley County is second fastest growing county in the region, or in the state, excuse me. And we feel that if we can put some of that density here in town, people aren't driving through town to get to Moncks Corner or get to Upper Berkeley County to live. They can live a little bit closer.
So, how many homes versus apartments do you have right now in the city of Goose Creek?
It's a good question. So I don't have the exact numbers, but I know right now we're about 19,000 households. So that includes single family, townhouses, apartments. Roundabouts is the number we have in Goose Creek. We are building, probably 1,000 or so apartments, I would say, that are on the docket right now. But then also we have single family houses coming. We have a new development that's coming up 52. That's going to be around, I think it was 900 houses, and townhouses, and apartments. So it's going to have a mixture. But what we're doing with that development is we have made the developers put in commercial aspects. So put in a grocery store. So we want people to be able to live and be able to get the necessities that they need, such as the groceries, right up the road, instead of having to leave their community to go to the other part of town and add to more congestion on the road. So any new developer that comes in, depending on the size, we're making them put a commercial aspect in there, so you can kind of have a live and play atmosphere in your community, so you're not having to get on the road and going across town to get what you need.
And it's a shameless plug here, but I love Publix.
Yeah, they love us too. We've
Oh, wow.
got two stores now. I mean, with the second one announced, and we've already got one in the middle of town. They do very well, and they love our region, and they're definitely going to be an asset when they come into the Karns area, because a lot of people in the Karns area are having to drive down St. James or towards Somerville to get what they need as far as groceries go, and this will really help them. I mean, they can jump on their golf cart in Karns and go right down the road to the Publix, and there's going to be some restaurants, and there's going to be, fast food, different things like that people can get, and they don't have to actually get on 17 to get what they need.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And what do you need most right now? You have obviously those single family homes, but what exactly do you need as far as housing at Goose Creek?
Affordable housing is definitely a necessity. I've lived in Goose Creek for 17 years, so I am aware of the housing price change just in the past 5 years. It's become astronomical. I mean, the price of houses have almost doubled in the past few years. So we need more affordable housing so that our firefighters, our police officers, our nurses, our school teachers. My wife works for the school district and school teacher, so I'm aware of the pay bands there. So we need more affordable housing for those public service employees so that they can live nearby. And City of Goose Creek definitely helps with that, because we do offer our firefighters and our police officers and city staff down payment assistance for purchasing a home in Goose Creek. So we're trying to help people live and work here in Goose Creek.
So let me ask you this. Where exactly could you put workforce housing in the city of Goose Creek for those people?
So we try to build in some of the workforce housing whenever these new developments come into town. We don't have a lot of available land to put the workforce housing. So we focus on talking to developers and building more density, because density is more affordable as land prices increase. If you can put more houses on a smaller piece of land, then more people can afford a house or a townhouse or an apartment. So I think it's important to have that density, so it increases the affordability of your home if you have more density.
So right now, as we sit here right now, Rob, what is the typical price for a home in Goose Creek?
So it just varies. We range anywhere from probably 200 to $1 million, 200,000 to $1 million. It just kind of depends on what area you're in, what you're looking for. I mean, you can find townhouses normally around 200 to 300,000. We have some higher end houses in the hamlets in Crowfield that are going for almost $1 million. Houses up in Karns are probably in the $500,000 range. So it just varies across the board depending on where you live, but there is still affordable housing, and the market is good in Goose Creek, and we luckily have some inventory so people can come into Goose Creek and get a semi-affordable house here in town.
So when these people come and buy houses and, obviously, townhomes or actually rent apartments, what exactly are they looking for in Goose Creek?
Well, they're looking for entertainment options. They're looking to get their necessities, to get their needs met here in Goose Creek versus having to drive to North Charleston. I can tell you, I used to work in North Charleston, and my commute was 7 miles, but it would take me 15 minutes with no traffic, and it would take me an hour with traffic. So people want to be close to the necessities that they want. Close to restaurants, close to the grocery store, close to drugstores, the clothing stores. So we're trying to recruit those type of businesses here in town so that people can get what they want here and not have to leave town to entertain themselves, to eat dinner, to have a nice dinner, things like that.
Speaking of which, obviously Goose Creek has made a lot of news recently over bringing a lot of restaurants to the city. Are you all recruiting more local or more regional restaurants?
So we're pretty open. We're recruiting more of the full service type restaurants, more of the breweries, distilleries, that type of things. Some that come with more of an entertainment aspect to them. We try to we don't avoid the quick service restaurants, but we prefer the full service restaurants. So they can be local, they can be national. Whoever's interested, we're willing to talk to them. And to that point, in certain areas of town, we have incentives in place to try to help recruit some of these full service restaurants because we are definitely lacking that here in Goose Creek. And the problem we also have is a lack of second generation restaurant space. So I have multiple restaurants that call me, probably every other day looking for restaurant space to lease, but there's just none available. We're about 90% leased with the commercial properties here in town. So that is really good when you look at a town in general. There's not much available. I think we have about 10 spots available for commercial activity here in town, and we are constantly trying to recruit more restaurants and things like that, but it's just tough right now with the price of everything, especially new construction. We have all these new developments coming in, but the price of new construction and upfitting a restaurant space is very expensive, and not including the liquor liability insurance. The prices have definitely gone up there, and we've got a lot of small restaurants here in town that are having issues keeping up with that as well.
And I just read a couple of articles in the Post story about some restaurants here in downtown Charleston, closing because of that situation with the liability, unfortunately. But what other incentives, Rob, do you want to actually give to these restaurants if they were to come to Goose Creek?
So we're one of the few towns or cities that are actually offering incentives to more of the commercial aspect, commercial businesses, excuse me. So we're focused on the building permit fee. So if you come in and you want to build a business here in Goose Creek, we can help you with rebates on the business license fees. We can help you with rebates on the development impact fees, things like that. Just whatever we can do. It adds up eventually as a small business, especially. It adds up with when you have to pay the building license fees or business license fees, excuse me, the building permit fees, the impact fees, all that. So we're trying to incentivize the type of businesses we want, like the full service restaurants, corporate headquarters, retail type stores. We're trying to incentivize those to come here to Goose Creek.
So this might be a silly question too, Rob, but how many of those businesses actually want to build a business in Goose Creek?
As far as construction,
Yes,
as
sir.
building a new building.
Oh, yes, sir.
So I have some that come in that are looking for that, but the problem is the price of land, like I said earlier, and the price of new construction. We have a few, I was in talk with a brewery, a large scale brewery, and they were looking at coming into town and they wanted to build, but then they started looking at the price of land, the price of new construction, and it just was not going to work for them. So they backed out because that's one of the barriers we do have. I mean, we have land around here that's going for $500,000 an acre just for land. So that's one of the barriers that we're definitely facing when new businesses come in. And a lot of restaurants, full service restaurants especially, want to lease space because you don't know how a market's going to be. You can come into a new market and think it's going to be great and wonderful, and you pour $1 million, $2 million into a restaurant space, and then the business goes belly up in a year. So a lot of the restaurants I talk to just want to lease.
I know all about that from working in the food and beverage industry myself. With the city growing the way it is currently, Rob, how do you actually diversify the city's tax base?
We're always trying to bring in different types of businesses that are going to be successful. Even if some fail, we have others that are going to be successful. So that's why we're focused on the retail and the restaurants, because we feel like people need a grocery store. You're always going to have to go to the grocery store. So if we have plenty of those in Goose Creek, so we're pretty diversified when it comes to those. But then, trying to bring in more of the retail element as far as clothing stores. We don't have a lot of clothing stores here in Goose Creek. So trying to bring those type of businesses in, just different options. So that way, if something happens with the economy, if a certain sector goes down, we have other businesses that pull it up. And I feel like we are pretty diversified here in Goose Creek. We like to add a few other elements, but overall, I think we do well.
Brings me to my next question. What intentional and innovative investments has the city actually made to make your economy more sustainable, connected, and actually inclusive?
So we have partnered with Low Country Local First. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but we have a community business academy that supports small businesses. They basically come in and they get a 12-week crash course in starting their own business, how to, do financing, how to build a business plan, and they give them support on the back end after they complete the class to really help those small businesses. We prefer to recruit small businesses. We understand that there is a barrier to getting in with some of the price points around town for commercial properties. But we're trying to build those up with Community Business Academy and also with our food truck programs. So we just built a new amphitheater, the Joseph S. Standing Amphitheater, and we actually have a food truck area for that. So a small business owner can, if you want to start a restaurant, you can start with a food truck. We've got plenty of spots around Goose Creek, our parks. We have parking for food trucks there at the 12, 15 different parks we have. You could come around and set up there and sell your food or your treats or whatever you have. And that way you can kind of build your business and fill out the economy. And hopefully we want you to build a brick and mortar business later on after you have been successful with your food truck.
Yeah, absolutely. So, how many of those restaurants in the city of Goose Creek have actually come from have actually transitioned from food truck to actually brick and mortar?
So I think we've had one or two. Don't quote me on that. We've had in my time, there haven't been any, but in the past, I feel like we've had a few that have come in that have started as food trucks and developed from there. But there's different options, and we're always talking to those food trucks and saying, hey, this space may come available. Would you be interested? So it's all about engaging the community, the business community, and telling them what's available and putting it out there so that they're aware. And also when we have like the farmers markets at our Central Creek Park, trying to talk to the vendors out there, like, hey, have you thought about starting a brick and mortar business? We have spots available that may fit. And with the food trucks, like I said earlier, the problem is the lack of second generation restaurant space. It's very expensive to get a space. So it's harder to get started as it would be like downtown Charleston. You have plenty of second generation restaurant space. North Charleston, you have it. So that's one of the barriers for some of those restaurants coming in.
Yeah, I know all about that. Especially North Charleston, where I live, around that Ashley Phosphate Dorchester Road corridor. But let me ask you this, Dan. What exact feedback are you getting from the business community about the new development and the growth in the city of Goose Creek?
You talking about from existing or new?
Oh, existing and new, yes, sir.
Well, existing, they're excited about it. More businesses, it does breed some competition with certain businesses, but overall, they're very accepting because it draws more people to Goose Creek. And if you draw more people to Goose Creek, then it's more business for everybody. So that's one of the benefits for some of the existing businesses. As far as new businesses, they're liking all the new developments. It's given an opportunity to come into town, and also it's bringing in some new projects and new concepts that we haven't seen before. So it's an opportunity for them to enter the Goose Creek market.
What new concepts is the city of Goose Creek actually adopting?
Well, like I said, we're actively recruiting, talking to breweries. We do have one brewery currently, Stone's Throw Brewery, but we are working on recruiting more breweries in town. So that's the type of concepts. I was actually talking to a craft and crust business the other day. So it's a pizza restaurant and craft beer restaurant. So they're interested in different areas of Goose Creek. So those type of businesses that are outside of what we normally have. Like our mayor would love to have a barbecue restaurant. So if anybody has a barbecue restaurant and they want to open one in Goose Creek, come on in because we're ready for it. But just some of that stuff that we don't offer. I mean, we've got some great restaurants. We've got Montana's on Red Bank Road, which is more comfort food. We got sports bars, like Sapphires. We're definitely have a variety of food, but we want more variety.
Oh yeah, man. You talk about barbecue, and I go back to my beloved city of Nashville, which is filled with craft
No,
barbecue restaurants.
yes,
Man,
definitely, definitely.
oh my God. So along that corridor, how many more restaurants do you foresee coming to that area in the next 5 to 10 years?
Across the board, so across the city, in general, we probably have, I'd say, 10 to 15 new restaurants coming in, that are planned right now. They could be smaller quick service. We have some newer ones that are full service, like Neighborhood Tap House, which is in your neck of the woods off Ashley Phosphate or Greenridge, excuse me. And they're coming to Carnes, and they're going to have a rooftop bar there, at Carnes, at Uptown at Carnes. So that's going to be a great addition to that area. And then we have some Japanese restaurant going in. We have Ruby's Bagels. We have First Watch. A couple of
Yes.
different chains that are coming in they're definitely going to add a different element to Goose Creek and add some more options for our residents.
And as far as residents, I hate to ask this too, but what's their what's their feedback that is on the new growth that's coming, as well as the new business development?
Most are positive about it. You're always going to have some naysayers. That happens no matter where you go. People see growth. People either love growth or hate growth. I hate to say, but a lot of people are excited because they want more options. They want to be able to stay in town and and go to a nice restaurant. So a lot of people are excited about that. But then you have people saying there's too much traffic on the road. There's too much development going on. But I think most of our residents are positive about it and see the direction that our city council and mayor or what we're trending towards as far as growth. And also with that commercial growth, it brings more opportunities for our residents because it adds to our tax base and adds to our programs that we can offer to our residents, such as a rec department, Central Creek Park. If we didn't have commercial development, we couldn't have built Central Creek Park or the Danny Amphitheater, things like that. So it's definitely beneficial to have that commercial growth here in Goose Creek.
Where do you see that commercial growth heading in the next 5 to 10 years? That's a redundant question, like the last one I just asked.
So I see us growing across Goose Creek. I mean, all the different corridors. So the 17 corridor, 52 corridor, St. James. We'd like to redevelop Red Bank, like I was talking about earlier, to add more opportunities on Red Bank. We have a great Brazilian community down Red Bank Road with some good restaurants there. And we are trying to just diversify and bring more of that growth that we're experiencing in Carnes down to Red Bank. So we see those main corridors growing. One of the pitfalls of Goose Creek is that we don't have a downtown area. We are lacking that. So we're trying to grow Goose Creek with the village nodes is what we're calling them. So different areas around town where it's like little villages spread across. So Carnes will be one, Red Bank will be one, different areas that you can have that commercial growth and people can gather. And it's a beneficial part of each part of the city and not just focused on one particular area.
Oh, yes, sir. And I want to get back to that in just a second. But you mentioned something earlier about trends. From an economic development standpoint, what is the city of Goose Creek looking at as far as economic development trends and also commercial growth trends?
We're constantly growing. So there's not really a trend. The trend is upward, I guess you could say. That's where everybody's going. We're definitely adding more commercial space. We have a bunch of new developments coming in. Like I said earlier, we have about 300,000 square feet of retail commercial space that's coming online in the next few years. So we're definitely trending upward when it comes to commercial growth here in the city.
And what else do you want to add to the economic development in the city of Goose Creek next?
So, like I said, more full service restaurants, more breweries, more distilleries, and more of a destination. We want people to drive to Goose Creek to get what they want versus having to leave Goose Creek. So we'd like to get more entertainment options. Space is a limitation on those, but if we can bring in things like a brewery, like a Holy City Brewing or something like that, where it is a destination, we would love to have that here in Goose Creek.
City of Goose Creek Economic Development Director, Rob Wiggins. Thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome to Quintin's Close Ups.
Thank you, Quinn. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you.